Welcome to my channel. Before we begin, let me ask you one very simple but very powerful question. Why does your brain work all day and all night, yet your life stays the same? Why do negative thoughts come automatically, like they don't need permission, but positive thoughts feel heavy, difficult, and forced? Think about it for a moment. Your brain never stops working. Even when you sleep, it is still active. It remembers, it imagines, it worries, it plans. And yet, many people wake up every day to the same problems, the same fears, the same habits, and the same life. So what is going wrong? What if I tell you that the problem is not your brain? The problem is the direction you are using it in. Your brain is one of the most powerful tools in the world. It has helped humans build cities, create technology, write books, and change history. That same brain is inside you. But instead of using it to grow, most people use it to worry. Instead of training it to move forward, they allow it to repeat old fears, old pain, and old excuses. That is why negative thoughts feel easy. They are familiar. They are practiced. They are repeated every day without effort. Positive thinking feels hard not because it is weak, but because it is new. And the brain always resists what is new in the beginning. But here is the truth no one tells you. Your brain does not know what is good or bad for you. It only follows habits. It only follows direction. It only follows what you repeat. If you keep feeding it fear, it becomes better at fear. If you keep feeding it excuses, it becomes an expert at excuses. But if you start feeding it clarity, discipline, and purpose, it will slowly transform your life from the inside out. And that is exactly what this video is about. Today is not about motivation for 1 hour. It is not about feeling good and then forgetting everything tomorrow. Today is about understanding how your brain actually works, why it controls you right now, and how you can slowly take that control back. If you stay till the end, you may hear one idea that makes you pause. One idea that makes you uncomfortable. One idea that makes you realize, maybe I have been using my brain the wrong way. And that single realization can change how you think, how you act, and how you live. So take a deep breath. Open your mind. And let's begin. Chapter 1. Your brain is powerful, but you don't use it properly. Your brain is working right now. Even while you are reading these words, your brain is active. It is not resting. It is not sleeping. It is constantly alive, moving, thinking, and responding. And here is something even more surprising. Your brain never stops working, not even when you sleep. It continues to process memories, emotions, and thoughts in the background like a machine that never shuts down. But the real question is this: if your brain is working every second of your life, then why is your life not changing the way you want? The truth is simple, but powerful. Your brain is one of the most powerful machines in the world, but most people do not know how to use it properly. A machine is only useful when it receives the right instructions. A phone is smart, but if you don't know how to use it, it becomes useless. The same is true for the brain. It is powerful, but it follows instructions, good or bad, right or wrong, helpful or harmful. Most people think they are controlling their life. But in reality, their brain is controlling them. Every fear you feel, every negative thought that comes automatically, every moment of laziness, overthinking, or self-doubt, it all comes from a brain that has been trained without your awareness. Think about it carefully. When you wake up in the morning and suddenly feel like I cannot do this, where did that thought come from? When you want to start something important, but your mind says you will fail anyway, who is speaking? It is your brain. But your brain is not telling you the truth. It is simply repeating what it has learned over time. Negative thoughts, fear, overthinking, laziness, and self-doubt are not your identity. They are not your personality. They are just untrained brain habits. And habits are not permanent. They are learned patterns. That means they can be changed. Here comes a powerful realization that can change everything. Your brain does not know what is good or bad. It only knows what you repeat. Let that sink in. If you repeat fear, the brain learns fear. If you repeat doubt, the brain becomes doubtful. If you repeat I am not good enough, your brain starts believing it as a fact. Not because it is true, but because it is repeated. And if you repeat confidence, your brain slowly becomes confident. If you repeat courage, your brain starts responding with courage. The brain is not a judge. It is a recorder. It records what you feed it every day. Imagine a simple example. A person keeps thinking again and again, I am weak. I cannot do anything right. I always fail. At first, these are just thoughts. But the brain does something interesting. It listens. It stores. It repeats. After some time, the brain stops treating it as a thought and starts treating it as a truth. Now the person doesn't just think they are weak, they feel weak. And once the feeling becomes strong, their actions also become weak. This is how a simple thought slowly becomes a life condition. This is not magic. This is training. And here is the most important connection you need to understand. This also explains your struggle with English. Many people say, I cannot speak English because I am not good at it. But the deeper truth is different. The real reason is not ability. It is training. Somewhere in your past, your brain learned that speaking English is difficult. It learned that making mistakes is embarrassing. It learned that people might laugh. And so, every time you try to speak English, your brain activates fear, hesitation, and silence. But listen carefully, this fear is not real. It is learned. It is trained. It is repeated thinking. It is not your fault. It is your training. And this is the most powerful part of this realization. If your brain can be trained in the wrong way, it can also be trained in the right way. If fear can be learned, confidence can also be learned. If overthinking can be created, clarity can also be created. If weakness can be repeated, strength can also be repeated. Your brain is not fixed. It is flexible. It is changeable. It is always learning from you. Right now, your brain is like soil. Whatever seed you plant, it will grow. If you plant negative thoughts every day, negativity will grow. If you plant positive thoughts every day, positivity will grow. The soil does not argue. It simply grows what you give it. So now the question is no longer, can I change? The real question is, what am I feeding my brain every day? Because your life is not controlled by random luck. It is controlled by repetition. And repetition creates identity. In this chapter, you have discovered something very important. Your brain is powerful, but it is not automatically wise. It follows patterns. It follows repetition. And most importantly, it follows your input, even when you are not aware of it. But this is not the end of the journey. This is only the beginning. Because if your brain can be trained wrongly without your awareness, then the next question becomes even more exciting. How do you train it the right way, on purpose, with control, and with confidence? That is what we will explore in the next chapter. Chapter 2: How negative thinking wastes your brain energy every day. Your brain is doing a lot of work. It is thinking, planning, remembering, and reacting. But there is something many people do not notice. Not all thinking is helpful. Some thoughts build your life, and some thoughts slowly destroy your energy without you even realizing it. One of the biggest energy drainers in your life is negative thinking. Negative thinking does not always come as something big or dramatic. Most of the time, it comes in very small and silent ways. It comes when you are lying in bed at night and suddenly your mind starts overthinking. You remember something you said in the past and think, "Why did I say that?" You imagine something bad that might happen in the future and feel stressed even though nothing has happened. Or you compare yourself with others and think, "They are better than me." These thoughts feel normal. In fact, they feel so normal that you don't even question them. But just because something feels normal does not mean it is helpful. The truth is simple but powerful. Negative thinking is quietly stealing your life energy. Think about it. When you overthink at night, your body is resting, but your brain is still working. It is running again and again in circles, replaying old mistakes, imagining future problems, and creating fear from things that are not even real. This uses a lot of mental energy. So when you wake up in the morning, you feel tired, even if you slept for many hours. Why? Because your brain did not rest. It was busy fighting invisible problems all night. And this is the painful truth. Your brain is busy fighting problems that do not even exist. Most of the things you worry about never happen. Most of the mistakes you keep replaying in your mind are already gone. Most of the fears you carry are just thoughts, not reality. But your brain does not always know the difference between real danger and imagined danger. So it reacts to both in the same way: stress, fear, pressure, and confusion. Now imagine something very important. Your brain is like a battery. It has limited energy every day. When you use that energy for fear, worry, and overthinking, there is less energy left for things that actually matter, like learning something new, improving your skills, building confidence, or working on your dreams. This is why many people feel stuck in life. Not because they are lazy, not because they are incapable, but because their mental energy is already exhausted by thoughts that do not move them forward. Negative thinking creates a cycle. First, you think something negative. Then you feel stressed. Then you lose motivation. Then you avoid action. And when you avoid action, your confidence becomes weaker. Then your brain uses that weakness as proof to create even more negative thoughts. And the cycle continues. Over time, this becomes a habit. A silent habit. A mental pattern. Now here is something very important to understand. Negative thinking does not protect you. It only stops you. Many people believe that worrying is helpful. They think, if I think about problems, I will be prepared. But in reality, most worry does not prepare you, it paralyzes you. It does not give solutions. It only creates fear. And fear reduces action. When your mind is full of fear, even simple tasks feel difficult. Even small decisions feel heavy. Even learning something new feels impossible. This is especially true in English learning. Many learners think like this: what if I make grammar mistakes? What if I pronounce words wrong? What if people laugh at me? These thoughts feel small, but they have a strong effect. They stop you before you even try. They make your brain believe that speaking English is dangerous or embarrassing. But think carefully, what is actually happening? No one is attacking you. No real danger exists. But your brain is reacting as if there is danger. So instead of speaking, you stay silent. Instead of practicing, you avoid. Instead of improving, you overthink. This is not a lack of ability. It is negative thinking controlling your behavior. And slowly, this creates a false belief: I cannot speak English. But the truth is different. You can speak. You are just blocked by thoughts that repeat fear instead of action. Now pause for a moment and understand this clearly. Negative thinking does not show you reality. It creates a distorted version of reality. It makes small problems feel big. It makes normal mistakes feel like failure. It makes temporary situations feel permanent. And most importantly, it takes your energy away from the present moment. Because real life only happens in the present moment. Not in the past. Not in the future. But negative thinking pulls you away from the present and traps you in imagination, either regret or fear. So what is the result? You lose focus. You lose motivation. You lose confidence. And slowly, you start believing that you are not capable. But this belief is not real. It is created by repeated thinking. And this is the key understanding of this chapter. Your brain becomes what it repeatedly practices. If it practices worry, it becomes anxious. If it practices fear, it becomes afraid. If it practices doubt, it becomes unsure. And over time, these patterns start feeling like your personality, but they are not. They are just habits of thinking. Now here is where awareness becomes powerful. The moment you start noticing your negative thoughts instead of believing them, something changes inside you. You begin to realize, this is just a thought. It is not a fact. And when you create distance from your thoughts, you start taking back control. Because thoughts are not your enemy. Uncontrolled thoughts are the problem. This chapter is not here to make you feel bad about yourself. It is here to help you see clearly. Your brain is not broken. It is simply overloaded with patterns that do not serve you anymore. And here is the most hopeful part. If negative thinking can waste your brain energy, then positive thinking can use that same energy to build your life. If your mind can create fear automatically, it can also create confidence automatically. If it can repeat doubt, it can also repeat belief. If it can imagine failure, it can also imagine success. And that is exactly what we will explore in the next chapter: how to take control of your brain energy and start using it in a positive direction that actually builds your life instead of breaking it. Chapter 3: How to use your brain in positive things, simple daily methods. Now you understand something very important. Your brain is powerful, but it can be trained in the wrong direction or in the right direction. You also understand that negative thinking wastes your energy and slowly weakens your confidence. But now comes the most important question: How do you actually use your brain in a positive way in real life? Not in theory, not in motivation quotes, but in daily simple actions. Let's understand this step by step in a very simple way. First, you need to understand this clearly. Positivity is not something magical. It is not something that suddenly appears in your life. It is not about being happy all the time. Real positivity is training. It is a daily practice. It is how you guide your thoughts again and again until your brain learns a new pattern. Your brain is like a student. It learns from repetition. If you teach it fear every day, it becomes fearful. If you teach it hope every day, it becomes hopeful. If you teach it courage every day, it becomes strong. So the first simple method is this: choose your thoughts on purpose. Most people do not choose their thoughts. Thoughts come and go, and they believe everything automatically. But you are not your thoughts. You can guide them. For example, instead of thinking, "I am weak," you can slowly change it to, "I am learning and getting better." Instead of saying, "I always fail," you can say, "I am improving step by step." These small changes may look simple, but they change how your brain processes reality. Now here is a powerful truth you must understand. Your brain believes what you repeatedly say to yourself. Let that sink in. If you keep saying, "I can't do this," your brain slowly accepts it as a command. It starts closing possibilities. It reduces effort. It makes you avoid action. But if you keep saying, "I am learning," your brain starts opening new pathways. It begins to support learning instead of resisting it. This is not imagination. This is how the human brain works. It follows instructions, and your self-talk is the instruction. Now think about this deeply. Many people are unknowingly programming their brain in a negative direction every day. They say things like, "I am not smart. I cannot speak English. I always make mistakes. I am not confident." And then they wonder why they feel stuck. But the brain is simply doing what it was told. It is following repeated instructions. So the second method is very important. Talk kindly to yourself. You don't need to force fake positivity. You just need to stop attacking yourself in your mind. Replace harsh words with gentle ones. Not perfect words, just better words. Instead of "I am bad at this," say "I am still learning this." Instead of "I failed again," say "I am practicing." Instead of "I can't do anything right," say "I am improving slowly." These small sentences may feel simple, but they slowly rebuild your inner system. The third method is, feed your brain good information. Your brain is like a garden. Whatever you plant will grow. If you constantly feed it negativity, fear, comparison, failure stories, criticism, it will grow negativity. But if you feed it learning, growth, encouragement, and practice, it will grow strength. This means be careful what you watch, what you listen to, and what you think about again and again. Because everything you consume becomes part of your thinking. Now let's connect this directly to your English learning journey. Many learners struggle not because English is difficult, but because their brain is trained in fear. So when they try to speak English, their mind says, "Don't speak, you will make mistakes." And they stop. But what if you change the instruction? Instead of fear, you say, "I am improving my English every day. I will speak even if I make mistakes." Mistakes are part of learning. Now your brain receives a different message. It starts supporting action instead of stopping it. This is the shift. Use your brain as a supporter, not an enemy. And here is a very important mindset change. Positivity does not mean your problems disappear. Positivity means your thinking becomes stronger during problems. Life will still have mistakes. Life will still have challenges. Learning will still feel uncomfortable sometimes. But the difference is how your brain responds. A negative brain says, "This is too hard, I can't do it." A positive trained brain says, "This is hard, but I can try again." Same situation. Different thinking. Different result. This is the real power of brain training. And now you start to see something deeper. You are not trying to become a different person. You are simply changing the instructions your brain follows every day. Small thoughts. Repeated daily. That is how transformation happens. Even 5 minutes of positive self-talk, 5 minutes of practice, 5 minutes of trying something without fear, these small actions slowly rewire your brain. At first, it will feel unnatural. That is normal, because your brain is used to old patterns. But if you stay consistent, new patterns become natural. And slowly, something changes inside you. You start reacting differently. You start thinking differently. You start believing differently. Not because life changed instantly, but because your brain changed direction. And here is the most powerful truth of this chapter. When you change how you use your brain, you change how you experience your entire life. Because your brain is not just part of your life. It is the system that creates your life experience. And now you are beginning to take control of that system. In the next chapter, we will go even deeper. Because once you start using your brain in a positive way, something amazing begins to happen, not just in learning English, but in your confidence, your habits, and your entire future. Chapter 4. When you use your brain positively, your life changes. Now you have reached a very important understanding. You are starting to see that your brain is not just something inside your head. It is the system that controls how you think, how you feel, how you act, and even how you build your future. And when you start using your brain in a positive direction, something slowly begins to change in your life. Not suddenly, not overnight, but step by step, quietly and deeply. At first, the change is small. You may not even notice it. But one day, you wake up and feel a little different. Your mind feels a little lighter. Your thoughts feel a little clearer. There is less fear, less confusion, and less pressure. This is the beginning of a new mental direction. When your brain starts working positively, your daily life starts changing in simple but powerful ways. You wake up in the morning without heavy thoughts. Instead of thinking, "I cannot do this day," your mind slowly starts thinking, "Let me try today." This small shift may look simple, but it changes your entire mood. Because your morning thoughts decide your entire day. When your brain is trained positively, even small tasks feel easier. You don't overthink every decision. You don't waste energy on unnecessary fear. You start focusing on what is in front of you instead of what might go wrong in the future. And slowly, your confidence begins to grow. Not because something outside changed, but because something inside changed. Now imagine this in your learning journey. Especially when learning English. Earlier, You may have felt fear before speaking. You may have stopped yourself before trying. You may have thought, what if I make mistakes? But when your brain becomes positive, a new voice starts to appear inside you. Instead of fear, it says, it's okay, just try. Instead of silence, it says, speak, even if it is not perfect. Instead of doubt, it says, you are improving. And something beautiful happens. You start speaking without waiting for perfection. You start learning without fear of mistakes. You start enjoying the process instead of avoiding it. This is real transformation. Not becoming perfect, but becoming fearless enough to try. And here is something very powerful you must understand. People who succeed are not always smarter. They are just using their brain in the right direction. Let that thought stay in your mind for a moment. Many people think success belongs only to the intelligent, the talented, or the lucky. But in reality, success often belongs to those who simply train their brain to think differently. Two people can have the same ability. But one person uses their brain for fear, doubt, and overthinking, while the other uses their brain for learning, practice, and growth. And slowly, their lives become completely different. Not because one is better, but because one is directed properly. This is the real secret behind success. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything connects together. When you control your thoughts, you control your actions. When you control your actions, you control your habits. When you control your habits, you control your future. This is not just motivation. This is a clear mental chain. Everything starts from one place, your thoughts. If your thoughts are negative, your actions become weak. If your thoughts are positive, your actions become strong. And strong actions slowly create a strong life. That is why your inner world is more important than your outer world. Because your outer life is just a reflection of your inner thinking. But here is something very important to remember. Change is not fast. Change is slow. But change is powerful. You will not transform in one day. You will not suddenly become confident, focused, or fearless. But you will change slowly through repetition. One positive thought today may feel small. One positive decision today may feel simple. One moment of courage today may feel normal. But these small actions do not disappear. They stay in your mind. They build new pathways. They create new patterns. And one day, you look back and realize, you are not the same person anymore. You are calmer. You are more confident. You are less afraid. You are more focused. You are more willing to try. And all of this did not happen in one big moment. It happened through small daily changes in your thinking. That is the real power of positive brain use. And now, something very important happens. You start to feel peace inside your mind. Not because life became perfect, but because your reaction to life became stronger. Problems still exist. Challenges still come. But your mind does not break as easily as before. You start handling situations with more clarity. You start responding instead of reacting. You start thinking before fearing. This is emotional strength. And emotional strength is more powerful than external success. Because when your mind is strong, nothing outside can easily destroy your peace. Now think about your journey with English again. At the beginning, you may have felt nervous, shy, or afraid. But now, slowly, You are learning something deeper. English is not just a language. It is a reflection of your confidence. It is a reflection of how you think inside. If your mind says, "I can't," you stop. If your mind says, "I will try," you move forward. That is why learning English is not only about words. It is about training your brain to think differently. And as your brain becomes more positive, your English also becomes more natural. Because confidence in thinking leads to confidence in speaking. Now you are standing at an important point in this journey. You can see that change is possible. You can feel that your thinking matters. You can understand that your brain is not your enemy, it is your tool. And when you use that tool correctly, everything begins to shift. Your confidence grows. Your habits improve. Your discipline becomes stronger. Your learning becomes easier. And your mind becomes calmer. Not perfect, but better than before. And that is enough to start a new direction in life. Because every big transformation starts with one small decision: I will think differently today. And from that single decision, a new life slowly begins to form. If this video helped you understand your brain in a better and deeper way, then don't just close it and move on. Take this understanding seriously and use it in your real life. Because now you know something powerful. Your brain is not against you, it is simply following the way you use it. And that means your future can change if your thinking changes. So don't keep this knowledge only in your mind. Apply it in your daily life. Start small. Start today. If you are serious about your growth, then subscribe to this channel. This is not just a channel for watching videos. This is a space for learning, improving, and building a better version of yourself step by step. Like this video so that more learners like you can find this message and benefit from it. Your like can help someone else change their thinking too. And now, take one important action in the comments section. Write this: how will you use your brain positively from today? Think about it deeply before you answer. Because your comment is not just a sentence, it is a small commitment to yourself. Thank you for watching. And remember this clearly: your journey has already started the moment you became aware of your thoughts.